ESPN Baton Rouge, WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 212681. Offices. Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in, Hunt Palmer, coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Friday. Hope yours is going awesome. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. We can get to the weekend, y'all. We can do it. 2 hours here. Hopefully the end of your workday is near, maybe in the rearview mirror, and we can enjoy another weekend here. Lots of sports on the calendar this weekend. We will talk about a lot of it. We'll talk about a mock draft that just came out from Daniel Jeremiah a little bit later. Got an anniversary to get to at the end of this hour. Grant Ramey from VolQuest is going to come on and talk about the Tennessee Volunteers at the top of hour number 2. And I'll be pretty blunt. Like, it bums me out a little bit that I'm going to open this show grinding NFL, because that's not really what I want to do at the top of the show on a Friday in January. I would rather be talking about a huge matchup in the PMAC, a top 10 team coming in here, and a chance for LSU to play a great game and do something special in the PMAC. The air's out of the balloon a little bit. I mean, I think anybody would feel that. I'm going to watch I'm going to the game tomorrow, and I'm fairly excited to do so just because I like going to the PMAC and watching LSU, and they're going to be wearing great uniforms, and I just like watching LSU play basketball, so I'm going to go. But I can't sit here and fake it to y'all like the matchup's very favorable. So we'll get to it when we get to it, which is probably in the next segment, and then with Grant at the top of hour number 2. But it's not the lead of the show today. It can't be the way that LSU is playing in the matchup against Tennessee tomorrow. But we'll get to it when we get to it. Take it or leave it. We'll finish things up at the end of the show. But we will start with the National Football League. This is probably the best weekend of the year in the NFL. You've got 4 games. You've got all the best teams. You've got great storylines. And starting Saturday midday, you got football to grind that matters with really good teams out there. So we'll talk it game by game. Saturday, it's Jags and Chiefs. It'll be at 3:30 our time on NBC. I won't get that, so I'll be at the PMAC, but I'd have to throw some Peacock on if I wanted to watch it. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorite. Look, these two teams played in November. The Chiefs won it 27-17. I think the Jags are a little different team than they were then. They had kind of turned the corner in November after a really bad start, but not quite the team they are today. They're here fairly improbably. We know that based on what we saw last week. Just an avalanche of turnovers by Trevor Lawrence. Chargers get up 27 points, and then Jacksonville with a ridiculous miracle to come back in the second half. So does Jacksonville have a chance in this game is the question. And I think the answer is yeah. Their pass rush second in the NFL over the last 5 weeks of the season, and they sacked Herbert 3 times last week. So they're playing very well up front on defense. But the Chiefs may have the best offensive line in terms of pass protection in the NFL. You look at some Pro Football Focus grades and pass rush win rate and stuff like that. The Chiefs are near the top in all of them. So you'd like to get back there and put a lot of pressure on Mahomes. That's avenue number 1 to get home. But is that realistic? I don't know. I think what's more realistic for Jacksonville is their young quarterback's going to have to grow up immediately and shine bright. He's got to do the same thing that Joe Burrow did last year, where he showed up in the playoffs and just put the team on his back. Now, he'll certainly need a little bit of help. Travis Etienne can help. Last week, 20 carries, 109 yards. You can do that. You certainly help your quarterback. Little bit cliche. I try to stay away from cliches when I possibly can. But to run the ball with Travis Etienne, to keep the ball when you're on the road and Mahomes on the other side, seems to be a positive strategy. It's cliche, I know. How often do you hear when a team's got a good offense? Well, best defense is good ball control offense. But it may ring true here. The Chiefs do give up 4.5 yards a carry. That's 18th in the NFL, far from elite. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this game, but I like Jacksonville in the 8.5 points. I think the Jags are pretty tough. I think that Lawrence has the ability to make some plays. Now, he can't throw 4 picks like last week. Lights out. But I kind of like Lawrence and the Jags to keep it within striking distance. I will take Jacksonville and the 8.5 points. Now, the Saturday nightcap, going to be the Giants at the Eagles. This is going to be a great game. Great game. 7:15 on Fox. Obviously, the huge storyline is going to be on Jalen Hurts. I don't need to tell you anything about that. But the question is a real one. Like, how much can he do? You're talking about the first matchup in the history of the playoffs with quarterbacks who ran for 700-plus yards on the year, but they do it so very differently. I was talking about this earlier this week with Tom Brady and how everybody else in the NFL that's still left in the playoffs, their quarterbacks are moving around a lot. May not be the fastest guys in the league, but they do move. Mahomes and Burrow are not the fastest guys in the league, but they can move. Jones and Hurts are legit. They're fast. But they're different because Jones has 402 of his 700-plus yards just scrambling and making things happen. Hurts has over 430 yards on the season in designed runs. However, none of them came when he came back in Week 18. So when you take that part of their offense away, I'm not saying that it certainly is, but it may be taken away, it's not the same offense. Take it from a guy who paid a lot of attention to the Eagles this year on that fantasy team. I had Hurts, I had A.J. Brown, I had Miles Sanders. I was paying attention to what the Eagles were doing. Hurts was running all over the yard. I don't think Philly's offense is going to be high-flying in this game. Hurts is rusty. He may not be fully functional. I think the Giants can slow Philly down. It's going to be the Philly defense that's going to potentially have to win this game for them. Now, they led the NFL in sacks. They can get back there and put some pressure on Daniel Jones. This will be the biggest game he's played in his life. Evan Neal is a serious problem for the Giants at right tackle. Youngster out of Alabama has had his issues this year. The Eagles don't care. They're coming. So if I had to make a play on this game, it would be the under 48 because I think the Eagles' defense is really good, and I don't think their offense is going to be cooking. But if you make me take a side, 7.5 is the number. I'll take the Giants and the 7.5. I'll take the points on both Saturday games from where I'm sitting. Now, Sunday, the game that I care about the most, diehard Bengals fan here, 3 years and counting. Bengals are at the Bills at 2 o'clock on CBS. Bills are a 5.5-point choice. A lot of people are looking at that line going, man, that seems like a lot of points. I mean, it's pretty obvious. The Bengals O-line is shot. It was just announced an hour and a half ago that Alex Kappa, who was on a scooter last week, is ruled out for the game, and Jonah Williams, who dislocated his kneecap last week, is out for the game. So you're talking about an offensive line that they spent all this money on. They went and got Kappa from Tampa. They went and got Lael and signed him to put him at right tackle. They've invested a first-round pick in Jonah. Like, they've put some money into that offensive line, and now you're missing one of your best guard and your left tackle and your right tackle. The offensive line is in shambles. So they're going to pin their ears back and go after Joe. And that's frightening because as much as you want to lean back on the Tennessee game last year and go, hey, they couldn't block Tennessee either and Joe just made it work. That's not sustainable. That is not sustainable. In my opinion, in this game, Cincinnati is going to have to try to run the football. Because if you decide you're going to drop back and let Joe throw it 42 times, this offensive line's not going to hold up. And Joe's going to get punished, hit hard, crowd will be into it. You just can't win like. They've got to get Mixon going some way, shape, or form. The Bills are fourth in the league in run defense, so it's not going to be easy. But they've got to keep Joe upright. Buffalo turned it over a lot last week. Once for a touchdown. You might need that if you're the Bengals. Might need to make a play on Allen and get a pick and set up a little bit of a short field. I think it's going to be tough sledding at times for the Bengals on offense because that offensive line. That's just something you can't mask. You lose 60% of your line. It's just a big deal. It's an amazing matchup, though. Isn't it? Like, the Bengals have won 9 in a row. The Bills have won 8 straight. The Bills are 4-0 in Orchard Park in the playoffs under McDermott. The Bengals won both of their road games last year. Like, there are so many storylines. This is what we've been waiting for all year. The 3 teams in the AFC doing battle. You assume Jacksonville's not going to survive this week. Maybe they do. I certainly have them with the points. But you assume that it's basically KC over whoever survives this one, and then you get the duel in the AFC Championship game. That's what we've been pointing to all year long, and that's what you're going to get, I think. I'll take Buffalo. I will lay the 5.5 in this game. I just think that offensive line's too much to overcome. Breaks my heart. Hope it's not the case, but that's where I'm headed. Cowboys and Niners are the last game on Sunday. Taylor, I'm going to get your thoughts here shortly, but this game for me really brings back a lot of childhood memories. I was a kid in the 90s when Aikman and Young were dueling in the playoffs every year. We talked about it last week, how the Cowboys hadn't won a road playoff game since 92, and it was Ricky Waters and Steve Young and that crew, and then it was Aikman and Emmett and Irvin and Harper and Novacek and that crew, and this was the NFL's best matchup when I was really young. Now I've lost my passion for it, but it does bring back some memories when you see those uniforms. The Cowboys lead the NFL in pressure percentage. They're second in sacks per dropback. That pass rush is hellacious. Brock Purdy hasn't quite seen anything like this. Now, he's made some plays under pressure, but I don't think it was anything quite to this degree. That's the issue for the Niners. The issue for the Cowboys is that Dak is still turnover prone despite what happened 4 or 5 days ago. The Niners are tied with Pittsburgh for the most picks in the NFL this year at 20. That defense is legit. But it comes back to me to, what is Purdy going to do? Is he going to be able to make – his weapons are incredible. Debo, McCaffrey, Ayuk, Kittle. Like, we got it. They got the weapons, but there have only been 4 rookie quarterbacks to make the conference title game. Mark Sanchez made it in 2009. Flacco made it in 2008. Big Ben made it in 2004. And Sean King, Tulane's own, made it in 1999. Obviously, all 4 of those lost when they got to the conference title game, but it's hard to do. The line's 4. I think the Cowboys can make things tough on the Niners offense. I do know that the Niners defense is going to be tough, but I will take the Cowboys in the 4 points here. I don't know if they win it, but I'll take the points. Taylor, where's your confidence level here? You get a shot in the arm last Monday?
Yeah, actually a little bit.
Hey, I like that.
Look, this is going to be a defensive game. You mentioned Cowboys pass rush. Purdy hasn't seen anything like that, but at the same time, can the Cowboys run the ball against the 49ers defense? They're still very much a run-first offense. You mentioned Dak played great, but that's because the running game was also working very well. They can't get that done. They're going to have problems as well. So I think it's going to come down to the front 7 on both teams. It's going to be close. Cowboys can get it done. I don't know if they will. I think it's the game of the weekend, though.
You have any superstitions cooking? Are we drinking the same thing? We wearing the same shirt? What do we got?
No, I don't do
Okay.
superstitions.
All
I'm
right.
not a superstition guy. I'll have my Zeke Elliott jersey on like I do pretty much every weekend. So rolling with that.
All right. I like the Cowboys to keep it close. I think it's popular for Americans, people in the country, to hate on the Cowboys and to doubt the Cowboys. It's just a popular thing to do. They developed that culture in the 90s, and it is what it is. They're pretty good. The roster's good. The quarterback can be really good. Now, San Francisco, I talked about it yesterday, like, they've established themselves as the best team in the league with the caveat of if Purdy keeps doing this. We'll see. I like it to be close. I like the Cowboys. I will take those 4 points. I know Jimmy and Charlie are on the other side, so they're a lot sharper than me. They tend to win a lot more of their picks than I do, but it's the way I feel about that one. That's your setup for the NFL. On Saturday, I'm going to take the points in both instances. I'm going to take the Jags in 8.5. I'm going to take the Giants in the 7.5. In the Bengals-Bills game, I am going to lay the 5.5 with Buffalo. I just think that's going to be a problem for the Bengals up front. And then I'm going to take the Cowboys and the points, 4 of them, in the Sunday afternoon tilt. Going to be a huge weekend in the National Football League. Tigers are going to wear cool uniforms tomorrow. That's going to be fun to watch. How fun's the game going to be? I'll let you know next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana each and every day here on the Hunt Palmer Show. And all January long, we're telling you about Hunters for the Hungry, nonprofit that was founded by a group of local hunters to share the game and fish they harvest every single year with the needy. Since their start in 1994, Hunters for the Hungry has expanded throughout the state, and now they're partnered with all 5 major food banks in Louisiana. There are over 900,000 resident hunters and anglers in the state, and that contributes to 24,000 jobs and an economic impact of over $1.6 billion. Just a huge piece of our state, sportsman's paradise here. And Hunters for the Hungry makes that into a charitable cause by helping the needy, by feeding them with the harvest each and every year. You didn't know one deer can provide 240 meals. It's amazing the work that they do over at Hunters for the Hungry. If you know a business or a nonprofit or a person that does awesome stuff in our great state, LWCC wants to recognize them. Make them a champion of Louisiana so that we can tell their story. Go to lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate that company, that business, that person to be a champion of Louisiana. Hunters for the Hungry, champion for Louisiana for January. That's all presented by LWCC.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications. The powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution. A network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Riot Radio Hours return, and we'll preview the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Join us Friday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You head out to the PMAC tomorrow and watch LSU and Tennessee, or you tune in on TV. You're going to see the Tigers in some throwback uniforms. And y'all know me. I'm the uniform police. I'm a curmudgeon. I hate when they do stuff with the football uniform. It drives me nuts. In this case, I love what they're doing tomorrow. They're throwing it back to the 1979 SEC championship team. an era that was Al Green, Dwayne Scales, Ethan Martin, Cookie Man, Greg Cook, Willie Sims, Lionel Green, Jordy Holtberg. That era of basketball here under Dale Brown, and they're going with the stars and script. It's got Louisiana over the top with a number and the script state under. They've got on the right shorts some purple and gold stars. Taylor's got a picture up right now if you're watching on YouTube of KJ Williams modeling the uniform. It is phenomenal. They are going to look great tomorrow when Tennessee comes to town. And the guys are fired up about it. I saw a video a little earlier this week of them revealing the uniforms of the guys, and they were really into it. Then you saw Adam Miller posting on the Instagram when LSU released the video, said, "Don't count us out yet." That's the biggest thing for me with this basketball team right now. It is how much can they continue to commit to getting better and playing hard. Because this was always going to be a really bumpy stretch, and now it's gotten bumpier than some thought. You didn't think you were going to get beat by 40 in the first half by Alabama. Not really being competitive on your home floor with Florida. It's not what you would have imagined. And they got to find a way to keep, to use another cliche, chopping wood and come to play hard. If they don't play really hard tomorrow, they're going to get killed. They may get killed if they play really hard tomorrow because this is an awful matchup. But they've got to continue to commit to playing hard. So hopefully they bring a little energy and a little juice tomorrow for a 3 o'clock tip-off inside the Maravich Center. Tennessee's coming to town. We'll talk to Grant Ramey coming up at the top of hour number 2 at 2 o'clock, and he'll give us a little more in-depth scouting report, including a couple of injury updates for Tennessee. But I'll give you kind of my thoughts on the Vols as they come in. They're 15-3 on the year. They're 5-1 in league play. They're number 9 in the country, according to both polls. They're number 2 in the net. So they've had a really strong go. They look very good on paper. They look really good on the floor as well. They've beaten Southern Cal. They beat Kansas. They beat Maryland. They've beaten Mississippi State twice in conference play. Their losses this year to Colorado and Arizona in the non-conference, and then they had that stinker up in Knoxville against Kentucky a couple weekends ago, or last weekend. So those are their 3 losses. But this is a team under Rick Barnes that is elite defensively. I mean elite. And it's not like Nolan Richardson's Arkansas team that's 40 minutes of hell, pressing you all over the place, forcing steals and turnovers. They flat out sit down and guard you. They're long, they're really athletic, they're aggressive, and they just don't let you blow by and get easy buckets. You end up shooting over the top of them almost every time. It's really impressive to watch. They're number 1 in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency, number 1 in the country in field goal percentage defense, number 1 in the country in three-point percentage defense by a wide margin. They're 9th in the country in steals per game. They're 5th in limiting opponents' assists per possession. They've held their opponent under 50. Under 50. 9 of 18 games. In SEC road games that they've played, they're allowing 53.3 points per game. They have only allowed 3 players all year to score 20. It's really impressive to watch Rick Barnes' team defend. On offense, they've had their days where they've been very good, and like with most teams, they've had their days where they weren't. Against Kentucky, they really struggled to finish around the rim. That can happen sometimes. Their offensive efficiency is 56 in the country. Not terrible, but not something crazy. In a couple of SEC games, they've gotten cooking on offense. They scored 87 on a good Mississippi State defense. They scored 85 at South Carolina, 77 on Vandy, scored 70 at Mississippi State. But again, against Kentucky, they scored 63. They just couldn't get it done. Now, on the injury front, we'll get an update from Grant here in 30 minutes, but Santiago Vescovi got hurt against Kentucky. He did not play against Mississippi State. It's a shoulder issue. We'll see what his availability is. And then Tyreek Key, their starting guard, was sick over the week, so we'll see if he's able to give it a go on Saturday afternoon in the PMAC. If he is, he's kind of their starting point guard with Vescovi out and Zakai Ziegler coming off the bench. He's a really good player. But Key's a 6'2" grad student. He's 9 points per game, 36% from 3. Just a solid guard for him. And he's 6'2". Everybody else in the starting lineup is 6'6" or taller. They play Josiah Jordan-James at this like hybrid 2-3 position. Interestingly enough, I thought for 2 years, he's been there forever, he's a senior. I thought for 2 years his name was Josiah and his last name was Jordan James, like he maybe had parents that stepfather or something he combined or whatever. But no, his name's Josiah Jordan, and his last name's James. So the more you know on that one, hyphenated first name. But 6'6", 225-pound senior, 9 points and 3.5 rebounds per game. He is a ridiculous defensive player. At 6'6", oftentimes he will take the team's best two guard and guard them, and he's just as athletic, just as quick, and usually longer than what the two guard is. So he's a 36% three-point shooter, solid there, but he is a really, really good defensive player. You'll know the name Julian Phillips. Julian Phillips was signed to play with Will Wade and LSU. 5-star recruit, top 15 player in the country, McDonald's All-American, just a great talent that was going to be here in Baton Rouge. Will Wade gets fired. The entire signing class says, I'm out, and he ends up in Knoxville. He leads Tennessee in free throws attempted, free throws made, and he's shooting 81% from the line. That's at 6'8". He's scoring 10 points a game, 5.5 rebounds per game. He leads the team in offensive rebounding. He's a really good athlete. He's a pretty skilled player. Hasn't shot it quite as well from the field, but he does get fouled a ton, and he's a good free throw shooter. He's going to be a heck of a college player. I think he may have another year left. We'll see. But he's a really, really talented prospect. Olivier Kamwa is their 6'9", 240-pound senior, developing a theme here. Their point guard, Tyreek Key, grad student. Josiah Jordan James, senior. Olivier Kamwa, senior. We'll get to Uros Plavšić here in a second. He's a senior. They're going to start 4 seniors. That's very rare in college basketball. But Kamwa is one. He's kind of an enforcer. 6'9", 240, 11 points and 5 rebounds, 62% two-point shooter. Doesn't really stretch it much. But he's a tough player. He'll block shots. He'll get rebounds. He's tough to finish over, as is the case with most of the guys they put out there. Good player. And then Uros Plavšić is their enforcer. He's their tough guy. He's one that gets into these little chippy shoving matches every game. He'll jaw at you. He's 7'1", 265 pounds, and he ain't going nowhere. And he is purely a back-to-the-basket player. Has not attempted a three all year. He's going to the post. He's blocking shots. He's getting rebounds, and he's going to put some dunks down. 6 points, 4 rebounds. That's him. Now, Zakai Ziegler's going to call out the bench, and he's awesome. I love Zakai Ziegler's game. He's short. He's 5'9", but he can shoot it. He had 24 in the game this week. He scores 11 a game. He's got 81 assists, which leads the team. I guess they just like his burst off the bench. They want him to come in with some fresh legs to pop some starters who have been out there for 5-7 minutes. But when he comes in, he's a factor. And then Jonas Adu is their other long, lean guy off the bench. He's 6'11". He leads the team in block shots coming off the bench. So, look, here's the deal. This is why they're so good on defense. Josiah Jordan James at the 2, 6'6", great wing, great defender. Julian Phillips at the 3, 6'8", great athlete. Olivier Kamwa at the 4, 6'9", 240, long, can go. Uros Plavšić, 7'1", 265. Is an enforcer down there, and then they can bring Jonas Adu in at 6'11". So, again, it's not that you're going to turn the ball over a ton against these guys. And LSU's done a great job of not turning it over. I mean, in that atrocious offensive half they had back on Wednesday in the first half where they couldn't throw it in the ocean, they didn't turn it over but twice. They just missed every shot. It was just shocking. Auburn blocked some, but they just couldn't make it. And again, I said this entering the Auburn game, like if you want to keep driving it in there and throwing up shots off the glass, be my guest. But it's not very efficient, and they're not scoring. And I just don't think that LSU, whether it's Miller, who's not an elite athlete and is not super long, whether it's, Trey Hannibal, who's fairly short, whether it's Justice Williams, who doesn't play in traffic all that much, like those guys driving in there against Kamwa and Plavšić and Adu, I just don't know how efficient that's going to be. Now, hopefully KJ can pull one of those guys away from the rim more often than not. You're going to have to play him on the perimeter a good bit just to stretch their defense a little bit. But LSU's just going to have to make some more shots. I don't know how much more plainly to put it. I don't think the shots they're taking are terrible. I don't think all their players are terrible. I think they're missing almost everything they put up, which at some point has got to change a little bit. But again, Tennessee's not going to turn you over 29 times in a game. They're not going to full court press, trap you three-quarter court. they're just going to say, all right, here we are. Come on. And LSU hasn't proven to this point that they're capable of doing that. This is going to be something that I probably say before every game as we're kind of getting you ready for it. But if LSU doesn't make 14 or 15 threes in this game, they're going to have trouble scoring. Tennessee's bigger, older, stronger, longer. It's tough down there. So hopefully the intensity matches the uniforms and is really good. Hopefully some early shots go through. Kentucky scored on these guys a little bit. They were struggling offensively. LSU doesn't have the pros Kentucky has. But it's a tough matchup. I can't honestly tell you there's another team that I would least rather play if I'm LSU than this one. Because LSU's having such a tough time scoring, and Tennessee just doesn't allow it. But we'll see. Tip-off at 3 o'clock inside the PMAC. If you want to listen, you can catch it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, 2:30 pregame with Chris Blair and John Brady. I'll be out at the PMAC. Looking forward to it. Free swing. Get out there and see what you can do. Don't know that I expect it to go all that great, but that's, I guess, why they throw it up in the air and you go play. Tigers and Vols tomorrow. We'll get a thought from it with Grant Romey coming up at 2 o'clock. When we come back, there's a mock draft out, and LSU may be looking at another transfer portal ad. I'll tell you who that is next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford. Check out the inventory, BayouFord.com. If you're not happy with what you're driving around, change it. Bayou Ford can get you off on a great start there with their buyback program. They'll buy your vehicle from you. That'll give you a leg up to purchase the car that you want. If they've got it on the lot, awesome. Check it out. If they don't settle. It's right there on the website at BayouFord.com. Don't settle because the car that you want is not on the lot. They can customize a vehicle for you and have it turned around in 60 to 90 days. And when they do that, one of their 6 full-time drivers is going to drive that car right to your home or your office with the paperwork. You don't have to go anywhere. Just sign it. They'll give you the keys. You're off and running. And every new purchase over at Bayou Ford comes with a 1,000,000-mile powertrain warranty. Whether it's the Mustang, Bronco, Explorer, Expedition, Bayou Ford's got it. Let them customize it for you. Get you in a new set of wheels in this new year. BayouFord.com is the website. Bayou Ford, where they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Corval Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corval Toyota family to yours.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've got that blue sky, I've got that sunshine.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $8,500 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. New 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $8,500 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1,000,000-mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. the nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Moon Griffon is back.
Join me, Jimmy Ott, and Charles Hannegriff. We're on campus at the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU for the Monday evening edition of Game Time. It's Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So LSU still digging around in the transfer portal, rummaging through. What can we find? Does this look good? Can we use this? Kind of what it looks like. And there's a name that has surfaced today based on his social media where he posted a big LSU logo. I don't know if it's referencing a visit or interest or an offer. I don't know what it is, but there's a starter from the ACC that is posting LSU, so we're going to talk about it. And his name's Ja'Kai Clark. Ja'Kai Clark is a 6'3", 305-pound fourth-year junior from the University of Miami, where he has been the starting center for the last 3 years. He started 10 games in the COVID year, started 9 games in 2021, the last 9 of the year, and then this past season was the starting center. We know that you've got Charles Turner back. We know that Marlon Martinez is still around. Question is, do you add at the center position? And I think the answer is yes. And this is a guy who's got a little more size to him, has played at a high level in the ACC, and he adds depth to your offensive line. We know how many guys left in the offensive line. We went through that whole thing with Anthony Bradford. With Cardell Thomas yesterday, just kind of talking about all the guys that had left. And you've got your front line, and you feel good about the guys that you've drafted. But the middle piece there is important to plug a player here or there if you find one that's capable. And it appears they have. And so I would sincerely hope that Ja'Kai Clark will end up in Baton Rouge. Again, I don't know where in the process they are here. If you're saying to yourself, wait, I thought the portal closed yesterday. You're right, it did. It doesn't mean you can't commit or enroll somewhere. You just had to get in it. Once you're in, you have carte blanche. You can do whatever you want. You just can't get in and then go somewhere after that window closes. So Ja'Kai Clark is in. He can take visits. He can enroll wherever he wants. He can do that as his one-time transfer. So I'm all for it. I hope Ja'Kai Clark ends up as a Tiger because he's a 3-year starter at Miami. That works for me. So we'll keep you posted. If we hear anything or there's some kind of commitment, we'll fire away. Wanted to talk a little bit about Daniel Jeremiah's 2023 NFL mock draft. It's his first one. Writes for NFL.com. And you know that it's not super fun to talk about the Saints because they don't have a pick. But I am interested in just kind of how we see things shaking out now that the college football season's in the rearview mirror and it's full-scale draft season for all the teams that aren't still hanging around in the playoffs. And Jeremiah does assume here that the Bears do not trade out and that they do make a selection and that it's not a quarterback, which is interesting because the Bears hold all the cards. They have a quarterback they like. They have the first pick. They've got a ton of cap space, and they have a ton of holes in their roster that they've got to fix. So they got a lot of options, but it says they would take Jalen Carter here, the defensive tackle from Georgia, which would let Bryce Young fall to the Texans at number 2, assuming they have that pick and not Sean Payton as their coach. But we think that that might not be the pick that's swapped anyway. We would have the Texans taking Bryce Young and Will Anderson falling to the Cardinals at number 3. He does have Will Levis going 4th, which I still think is crazy to me. But he's got the Colts taking Will Levis at 4. Question is, does he have any LSU Tigers in the first round? And the answer is yes. As you continue to look through these mock drafts, you continue to see B.J. Ojulari's name kind of pop up towards the end of the first round. And in this case, he does. He pops up at the Broncos at number 28. The little snippet says the first round is going to be heavy on edge rushers. Ojulari has a quick first step and active hands as a pass rusher. The Broncos traded Bradley Chubb to Miami during the fall, also acquiring this pick in the deal, and the LSU product would be a solid replacement. So I think that would be great if BJ did go in the first round as it is kind of pegged here. A couple of other names that caught my eye. I just took a peek. Okay, what does he have the Bengals doing? Again, die hard for 3 years here. I got to be invested in what the Bengals are going to do in the draft. They got him taking Darnell Washington, the monster tight end from Georgia in the first round. It says Washington can function as a sixth offensive lineman in the run game, regularly using his massive 6'7", 270-pound frame to dominate at the point of attack. The two-time national champion is still growing and developing in the passing game, though. I was about to say he can't be still growing. There's no way he's still growing. He's the largest human I've ever seen. I always found it hysterical, and I mentioned this a few times on the show as we were going through the SEC championship game and the playoff and all that. Brock Bowers is a big dude. Big, strong, physical, filled out dude. And he would stand next to Darnell Washington in the huddle when I was watching Georgia games and look like me. I mean, Darnell Washington is the hugest tight end I've ever looked at. 6'7", 270, and he can move. So that's interesting to me as well. As far as the quarterbacks go, they've got Anthony Richardson going at pick 22 to the Ravens. I don't know what the Ravens quarterback situation is going to look like at that point. We all assume that they're going to ink Lamar Jackson and they're going to get that figured out. But I was listening to Rex Ryan, who obviously worked in that organization as defensive coordinator before he got a head coaching job. He said, look, this is not a team, an organization that is going to overpay if they don't think it's right. If they think they've got Huntley to be the backup who can be a potential starter and they think that can work, then they're going to do that and they're going to move on and take their draft pick. I was like, you got to be kidding me. An MVP of the league? You can just let him walk? Certainly wouldn't want to go into the season with Huntley and Anthony Richardson as my two quarterbacks. That doesn't sound appetizing at all. But I guess the big, fast, strong thing is intoxicating, but I just don't get it with Richardson or Levis. Have y'all watched Anthony Richardson throw the football? It's herky-jerky, it's inaccurate, it's erratic. I know guys can improve, but that doesn't look like a guy that I'm looking forward to win games for me in the NFL. But it's that position. People just overpay and overpay and overpay because they're so desperate to get it right. And all these teams that have been cycling through quarterbacks, and hopefully the Saints aren't one of those sitting here 2-3 years from now, but it's certainly possible, have to be looking at San Francisco going, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You go out there with Jimmy G and you draft Trey Lance and they get hurt and you just throw some 7th-round pick in there and he's throwing it all over the place? We've been looking for a quarterback for 15 years. You just hear Jets fans, Bears fans. You did what in the 7th round? But teams are going to continue to jump and jump and jump and try to find a quarterback, and that's the assumption that's being made here, that the quarterbacks are going to continue to fly off the shelves. You got C.J. Stroud going 9th to Carolina, which I think would be a really good pick if you could get him at 9. I just don't see how you could let C.J. Stroud slide to 9. Feels like somebody would jump up there and go get him. But what do I know? I'm just reading off a mock draft. That's Daniel Jeremiah. You can find on ESPN on NFL.com rolling through, and it's just a bummer that you roll through and you're looking, what could the Saints do here? Where do they pick? What? No, got nothing. That's not a great spot to be in, but it is the plight of the black and gold. No first-round pick this year. Grant Ramey is going to be with us from VolQuest.com at 2 o'clock talking about the Vols as they come in to play LSU in the PMAC tomorrow. Going to get you set up for the SEC slate in college basketball on Saturday. A little bit of Pels in the second hour as well, and then we'll play some Take It or Leave It and get on down the road. Hope your Friday's going awesome. Hope your work week is either in the rearview mirror or very, very close to it. But hang with us for another hour and 15 minutes. We're with you on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The NFL playoffs are heating up, and with FanDuel, every play is a rush. New customers join today so you can bet the divisional round with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Sign up with the promo code 1045ESPN. Get $150 in free bets. Throw it all at the Bengals if you suit that fancy and catch some good action on them. America's #1 sportsbook has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, with FanDuel, you can even combine your bets for a chance at an even bigger payout with the same game parlay. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet and get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with the promo code 1045ESPN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues, non-withdrawable free bets. Expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. Terms to sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're somebody who has a game problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $8,500 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. New 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $8,500 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Miller Lite has more taste and only 1 more calorie than Michelob Ultra.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change.
Monday's OTB, recapping all the NFL playoff action from the weekend. Plus, did the Pelicans manage to right the ship? Give you a brand new edition of Weekend Winners. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So we've been doing some anniversaries over the last couple of weeks. We did the LSU Oklahoma National Championship win, the LSU Clemson National Championship win, just reliving some great memories in Louisiana sports history. And I enjoy that. I enjoy going back and thinking about the awesome times and celebrations that those moments and days created for us. But not everything is a super awesome anniversary. And today is one of those days. So we'll throw it back in time a little bit. 4 years ago today.
Quick snap. Breeze. Pass is incomplete. No flag for Tommy Lee Lewis. Nikel Roby-Coleman delivered a hit. And the two officials talk to each other. Crowd's going crazy as there's no flag right on the Saints sideline.
Well, if Nikel Roby-Coleman plays the ball, it's an interception. It's probably going the other way with it. I mean, the ball's on the other side of Roby-Coleman, but that should have been a penalty. And Sean Payton is justifiably upset.
Mike Pereira, if that was a penalty, that would have in essence ended the game. Did you think it was a penalty?
Yeah, I really do. I know it's...
And I don't even have any skin in the game, and it gives me chills, honestly. I mean, I have them right now just thinking about it. And then hearing the crowd's reaction real time when it was just so obvious to everyone what had just happened. And Sean Payton is going ballistic on the sideline. I hadn't thought about the name Tommy Lee Lewis in a minute. Didn't remember that was who it was intended for, but goodness gracious, was that an awful call. Troy Aikman actually does make a reasonable observation there. If the Rams defender just turns around and looks at the ball, it's probably a pick six. I didn't remember that really either. I haven't looked at that play in a while, but I watched it a couple of times this morning. Just absolutely brutal. And I am with you, Saints fans. If that call is made, the Saints win the Super Bowl. I believe that. I think it was the best team that year, and I think they win the game. If that call is made, it's 1st and goal. The Rams are not going to be able to stop the clock. You either kick a chip shot field goal with Lutz or maybe you punch it into the end zone. Just hellacious. And I think a lot of people have recollections of where they were, what they were doing. My wife was there. We didn't know each other at the time, but she was at the game and has told me about her experience there, just an absolute madhouse in that place, just how upset people were. I was at Tracy's on Magazine Uptown, and I have never in my life seen a place go from so packed, so full of energy, so full of jubilation and anticipation for the Saints winning this game to, silence and empty. When the Rams kicked the field goal to win the game, Tracy's was empty in 6 minutes. Just gone. And it wasn't as emotional a time for me because I just don't have that emotional string to the Saints like other people at the station do, like most of my friends do. They tell me I'm a closet Saints fan and that I should shut up. And I'm like, I can't. I'm just not the way that I'm wired. And I was there, and I'm certainly hoping the Saints would win because that just makes things a ton more fun down here. But I think was able to maybe look at it a little bit more rationally than most people that are listening, that were there, that were experiencing it, that were watching. And it still was pathetic that they would miss it that obviously. Like, sometimes you miss a hold because it's away from the football. Maybe the officials' eyes are not right where they're supposed to be. Sometimes, you might miss something that's bang, bang, like a face mask in a scrum or something. This was a floater into the flat, and there were only two people in view of anybody that was paying attention, whether you're a fan or a player or an official or a television commentator or anybody. There's only two people you're looking at. And he just flattened him right in front of everyone. It's still playing on my screen here because I was looking it up as Taylor was playing it and Casey was playing it. And Peyton just runs down the sideline, rips his headset off, and just is chewing this official as he should have been. And then I think the chilling thing from hearing it again on the air like we just did was the reaction, the secondary reaction that the Dome had when they showed it on the Jumbotron. And everyone saw it and went, "You've got to be kidding me." And the boos started raining down. When you look back at Sean Payton and Drew Brees' legacy, we'll see what Sean Payton writes in Chapter 2. But in terms of Chapter 1, which I think is more likely going to be what he's remembered from, if he has a better run and a longer sustained run at Stop 2 than he did at Stop 1, that'll be amazing. But he'll be tied to Brees for a very long time. And you'll always go, well, they only won one. Man, they had some breaks that weren't exactly very good. They could have won that game in San Francisco. They should have won this game against the Rams. They should have won the game against the Vikings. And who knows? And sure, you can sit here and say, well, they should have taken care of it and not put it in the ref's hands. And that's fine. That's fine. But we watched what happened, and it's two of the most ridiculous plays in the history of the league. The Minnesota play and the Nola no-call are two of the most amazing plays in the history of the league. And the Saints were on the wrong end of both of them deep in the playoffs. That stings a lot. So sorry to bring up terrible memories, but it is the 4th year anniversary, 4 years ago today, the Nolan no-call down in the Dome. That'll do it for hour number 1 here on a Friday. If you missed it, you can catch us on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you find your audio, you can certainly find us. Opened up the show, given my preview of the 4 games in the divisional round of the playoffs, gave you my picks against the spread and one little underplay there. You want to fade them? Have at it. They're right there at the top of the show. Gave you a scouting report on the Tennessee Vols at 115. Little mock draft as well as LSU's eyes in the transfer portal on a center named Ja'Kai Clark from Miami. Little Nolan no call. If you missed it, you can catch it all on demand. Hour 2 coming at you. We're going to set you up for SEC slate in college basketball on Saturday. We'll get you some Pels talk as well when we come back. Grant Ramey from VolQuest is going to join us to talk about the Tennessee Vols as they come in for a big matchup in the PMAC tomorrow. Come back with us after Sports Center. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. together, we are Louisiana Lawyer. Always.
Three people walk into a bar. The first two order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The NFL's divisional playoff round kicks off tomorrow. Jaguars and Chiefs in Kansas City. Then the Eagles and Giants in Philadelphia. The Giants are coming off a road win over the Vikings, but ESPN's Tim Hasselbeck says this game will be different.
Daniel Jones needs to, maybe of his career, have the best passing game of his career if they're going to have success against a much bigger challenge than he faced a week ago.
Tim Hasselbeck. The Bengals will play Sunday's game against the Bills without two more of their starting offensive linemen. Jonah Williams with a dislocated kneecap and Alex Kappa with a left ankle injury, both out, joining Lyle Collins, who was already out with a torn left ACL. On the second night of back-to-back games, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green will all sit out for tonight's game against the Cavaliers. Michaela Schifrin is still tied with former U.S. teammate Lindsey Vonn with 82 World Cup race wins. She finished fourth in a downhill event in Italy today. She has two more races there over the weekend.
We all know the game isn't over till it's over. So next time you need parts for your car, don't call it quits. Go to eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts to take your car into overtime. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Now, Hunt Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, working towards the weekend here. Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your Friday is going awesome. We're going to head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Grant Ramey covers Tennessee for VolQuest, part of the On3 Network. He joins us now. Grant, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm good, man. How y'all doing?
Doing very well. Let's throw this out there first. If you had to bet $10 on the next Vol national title team, would it be basketball, baseball, or football?
I'm going to go, oh, man, that's a good question these days. I guess I'll go baseball just because they're tangibly closer than any of the other two programs are after the last couple seasons. But it's a lot more interesting of a question than it would have been, say, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. It's Tennessee Athletics seem to be in a pretty good spot right now. Rick Barnes' basketball program certainly is ranked 9th in the country as they come into the PMAC tomorrow for a 3 o'clock tip. I guess to start, what makes this defense so good?
A lot of pressure. I mean, the guards, you watch them on tape, they pick you up basically half court, and there's a ton of perimeter pressure as soon as you cross that midcourt stripe. Then from there, it's just, they've got a lot of bodies they can throw at you. They've got a lot of length and athleticism on the wing. They've got guards that are veteran, that have been around, that take pride in defending. They got some rim protectors in the paint. They've got that's another place where they've got four guys that they can really throw out there and feel good about on the defensive end. And it's just a culture thing with Rick Barnes, where if you're going to play for Rick, you know from the jump that you're going to defend. They instill that into your brain as soon as you get to campus. If you want to play, the fastest way to get on the court is to be somebody who's really reliably, applying pressure on the defensive end and doing so consistently. And coaches know what they're going to get out of you on that end of the floor. So it's a culture thing, but it's also the way this roster's been built. They've got a lot of good defenders on there.
You mentioned guards and how much pressure they put on their opposition. Two of those, Santiago Vescovi hurt his shoulder against Kentucky, didn't play, and has been kind of questionable. Tyreek Key was sick this week. Any update on those two guys and their availability tomorrow?
Tyreek Key should be fine. He returned to practice Thursday. Santi was a guy who I think he returned at least partially to practice on Thursday. They said the plan at the time was to start building him back up in practice. This is something that goes back to December, and they're playing McNeese State. Late in that game, he hurt his shoulder, and they called it Rick Barnes called it a level 2 sprain in that left shooting shoulder for him. And then he went down in the first half against Kentucky. He finished that game. I think he played 32 minutes or something. But he didn't shoot it very well. He went down for a loose ball, and he came up kind of flexing that shoulder like it was hurting again. So when he did miss games in December, he missed back-to-back games. So I think he's at least questionable. I'm not sure how careful or how cautious they'll be with him moving forward and try to get him healthy more than anything. But he did return to practice at least in part on Thursday.
Chatting with Grant Ramey, covers Tennessee for VolQuest, part of the On3 network. Tiger fans familiar with Julian Phillips. He's five-star McDonald's All-American who signed with LSU when Will Wade was let go. He reopened his recruitment, ended up in Knoxville. I gave some statistics on him in the last hour, but what's he meant to this team? What's his skill set look like?
I mean, the skill set, the ceiling's through the roof because the length and athleticism that he has and the way that he can score it from all three levels. I think that's the reason that somebody like Will Wade wanted him at LSU. I think it's the reason somebody like Rick Barnes wants him at Tennessee because this dude looks like he was made in a lab to play basketball just based on how he's built and the way he plays the game. Now, the problem has been, consistently has not been aggressive enough. Like he's not just been attacking enough to fit that skill set. I think it's a combination of kind of the seniors that are on this team and kind of the dynamic on the floor. But Tennessee's asking him to be more aggressive and to attack more consistently. He's had 18 and 11 at Mississippi State the other night when Tennessee was without two starters, and part of that was probably because they were so short-handed that he had to do something to help his team win. There's been other games like Kentucky where he picks up a couple of early fouls and he only takes two shots and he only plays 18 minutes because he got in that early foul trouble and then they did get on the floor. He just couldn't be aggressive enough. So the averages are there. I think he's fourth in scoring, maybe like 10.5 points a game. I think he leads his team in rebounding, so he does consistently attack the glass. They're just trying to get him more consistently aggressive on the offensive end to match his lofty skill set.
What's the identity of this team on offense?
That's a great question. I think the identity right now is you're trying to figure out each night which offense is going to show up. Sometimes they're hitting 10, 11 three-point shots a game and they can score 75, 80 points a night. Other times you're relying on your defense and you're going to see who can score 50 first because offensively you're struggling. They have to hit those three-point shots, though. I mean, what Kentucky did on Saturday to beat them in Knoxville and what Michigan did in March to eliminate them from the NCAA tournament is they took away the three-point line. And they kind of dared Tennessee to beat them with 2-point shots in the post. And Tennessee can't score it in the post, but they probably can't score it enough consistently to beat you in those highly competitive games. So the identity is trying to figure out what you're going to get night in and night out because right now there's just not that consistency. There are some nights where they are really, really good offensively, and there's some other nights where they're very, very frustrating offensively.
Do you think this is a Final Four national championship caliber team, or are there some flaws on offense that may prevent that?
I think the talent is there. I think more importantly, the depth is there. I think what's going to hurt them in March, they have a lot of depth and they have a lot of balanced scoring, but right now they just don't have that go-to guy that when you really need a bucket in a tough minute, he's going to really go get that bucket for you. I think that's what they want Julian Phillips to be at some point because he's a guy that can attack the rim and go get it. But the defense has consistently been there. They've been the number one ranked defense in KenPom for a while, 7-8 weeks now, I think, at this point. So it's going to be there, and that's going to help them stick around against just about anybody. But in March, like we saw against Michigan in the second round last year, if you can't hit that shot in that big moment, it can be a bad day at the office for you. It can be and suddenly it snowballs a little bit, and you're going home for good. Your season's over. So they're going to have to find out something on offense. They have to be a little bit more consistent there, shot making, whatever it is, a go-to scorer, however they have to do it. They have the talent. I think they have the depth. It's just a question of is that offense going to be there, and can they do it consistently enough to keep advancing when it matters in March?
Grant, we really appreciate the time. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate seeing you.
He is Grant Ramey from VolQuest, part of the On3 network. Wasn't the best audio quality there, but I gathered what he was saying, and I think if you're going to be an LSU fan and you're going to say, well, we're not going to win this game, we can't score, and they're the best defense in the country, and just wash your hands of it. I get it. But if you're going to talk yourself into how does LSU keep this thing competitive tomorrow, it's pretty simple. You're going to have one of those games where Tennessee can't find its offense. Vescovi's their best three-point shooter. He's been creating there for 4 years. Maybe he doesn't play because his shoulder is hurting, and Rick Barnes says, look, we're going to beat these guys anyway. I'm not going to force this back. Let's give him a couple more days rest. So you take him out of the equation. they can struggle at times without him, whether it's Julian Phillips that he was talking about who's not aggressive enough, whether it's Tyreek Key who's been sick all week, maybe his jump shot's compromised a little bit. They really struggled from two-point range against Kentucky, and he mentioned it. Michigan took away the three-point line and knocked Tennessee out of the tournament last year. Kentucky took away the three-point line and beat Tennessee on Saturday. So for LSU, can you take away the three-point line? Can you force some contested twos? Can you rebound, which you certainly didn't do against Alabama? And then you can keep it close if you can find a way to score. And for LSU, I think the only way that they can expect to score is to knock some shots down. And it sounds so boring and so cliche and so lazy, but if you look at the roster that Tennessee is bringing in here, 7-footer in Plavsic at center, 6'11" in Adu coming off the bench, Kamwa at 6'9", 240 on the block, Phillips at 6'8" at the 3, Josiah Jordan-James, a 6'6" jumping jack at the 2, basically, and you think LSU is going to drive in there and get to the bucket and finish around these guys consistently, that seems like a tall order. But if you can find me a world where Miller hits 6 threes and KJ hits 5 threes and Hayes hits 3 threes and Justice Williams knocks home 2 threes and you find a way to keep Tennessee in the 60s, the math starts to get close. I realize it's not a great sales job. You could probably your eyes probably rolled out of the back of your head when you heard me go through that. But if I describe it another way and I say, well, Miller goes 2 for 11 and KJ goes 1 for 7 and Hayes is 0 for 3, well, I just described to you a scenario where LSU literally is going to score 40 points. That may be more believable to you. That might have been a better sales job. But if I'm trying, we set out at the top of the segment there to create a path for LSU to win the game. Like, that was the goal. Not the most realistic situation. How would they win it? That's how they would potentially win it. But the matchup is an absolute nightmare. You thought Bama was good on defense. You thought A&M could defend. You thought that, man, that Auburn team, they can play some defense. Wait until you see this team tomorrow. And what you'll notice when you're watching the game, last thing on the game, what you'll notice is, as he mentioned, they pick you up at half court. Teams like to get into their set. Ideally, you would get into your set around the three-point line, pretty close to the three-point line. That's where you'd like to operate from. That's where your drives are created from. That's where you can start taking quality shots. You can't start your drive 30 feet from the bucket, theoretically. You can't pull up and shoot it from 35 feet. You want your offense to start to operate around the three-point line. What Tennessee does is they back you up 8 feet to where all your high ball screens are 8 feet beyond the three-point line, where all your offensive initiation starts to throw that first pass to the wing to initiate your offensive rhythm. You catch that pass 8 feet behind the three-point line. They want to push you out. And from there, you can't really do anything. So what LSU's veteran guards, and they are old still, they're going to have to make a commitment to getting to your spot at the three-point line to operate the offense. Because if LSU gets back there and starts running things 8 feet from the three-point line and all of a sudden there's 8 on the shot clock, you're cooked. You're going to end up with a step-back 3 from Miller or Hayes or some kind of running. It's just not going to work. So it's not a pleasant game to try to break down. I realize that, but we'll see. Uniforms are still going to be cool, though. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about the SEC basketball slate on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Have you ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
Join us for the Monday edition of Handy Time as we take a look back at the divisional round of the NFL playoffs and LSU versus Tennessee. Handy Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, I don't have any details on this story, which doesn't make it a very compelling way to start the segment. I'm about to get to some SEC basketball thoughts on Saturday's slate, but I just saw this on Twitter, and it's fascinating to me. Michigan is firing its co-offensive coordinator, Matt Weiss. You'd say, well, Michigan's offense was pretty good this year. I realized they, lost in the playoff, but they scored some points. They really ran it down Ohio State's throat. They dominated Penn State. I thought the offense was pretty good. Why would you fire your co-offensive coordinator? Well, the report from ESPN says that there has been a report made against Weiss of, quote, computer access crimes. I don't know what that means. Maybe he walked off with an iPad. Maybe he's hacking the system for information. I don't know. I have no information. I just think it's fascinating, and I'm intrigued to hear more stories. But Matt Weiss, no longer employed by Michigan, he put out a statement saying he looks forward to returning to the game he loves, putting this behind him. So clearly, I think something was amiss. He didn't say I'm innocent of this, but computer access crimes, that's a little fascinating. Don't see it every day. That's what's going on up in Michigan in that football program. All right, SEC basketball cranking up tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning on ESPN2, up at the Bud in Fayetteville. Hogs need a win. Hogs are 1-5. Hogs have Ole Miss coming to town. That is a perfect remedy for a poor SEC record because Ole Miss is also 1-5 and not very good. I've been saying Arkansas is an NIT team for a week now. I think they are an NIT team. I don't really have any ways around it. Their offense has been very inconsistent. Their shooting has been very, very poor. And defensively, they haven't been what they were in the non-conference. And then when they came to Baton Rouge, they were still pretty good. Now, make your joke about LSU's offense there, but the defense has been good for them all year, and it's kind of let them down a little bit. Now, Ole Miss has got a couple guards that can go. They kind of count on Morrell to do everything. But if Arkansas can't win this game, I now pull them off the NIT. That's tough. They're 12-6. It's not like they've fallen apart. But 1-6 in league play with losses to LSU and Ole Miss, Vanderbilt. How am I supposed to sugarcoat that? Hogs better take care of business against Ole Miss tomorrow in Bud Walton. Vanderbilt is headed to Athens, two teams that are probably a little bit better than I thought they would be. Mike White doing a nice job at Georgia, got them to 3-2 in league play. They're 13-5. In Vanderbilt, nice win against Arkansas, scoring some points. They're 2-3 in the league. 9-9 overall is not very good. They were not very good in the non-conference, but they've been competitive with the middle of the pack in the SEC. So I would expect Georgia to win that game in Athens. It's at noon on the SEC Network, but not the most high-profile game of the week. This is the one that I will have my eyes on at 1 o'clock. Before any of the football starts, this is going to be an interesting one on ESPN in Rupp. A&M was grossly underwhelming in the non-conference. You come off that stretch at the end of last year where you got hot and thought you were snubbed from the dance after losing 7 games in a row in the middle of the SEC slate. But they're 5-0 in the league right now. 5-0 is 5-0. Auburn's not 5-0. Tennessee's not 5-0. A&M's 5-0, and they're headed to Rupp. Now, Kentucky was ready. I mean, look, you hand up. I was trashing Kentucky heavily 2 weeks ago. They win in Knoxville, turn around and follow it up, get a win you should have gotten earlier this week, and they did. So 3-3. We'll see what A&M's got in this game. I've been a detractor of A&M, probably in my blood, but I just don't think there's a ton of talent on that team. I think their defense has been excellent. It certainly was when they limited Florida to 2 made field goals in the first half on Wednesday. But we'll see if they can score in Rupp. Boots Radford playing well. Wade Taylor's been awesome. But Kentucky thinks they've found a little something, changing the point guard situation up. Xavier Wheeler led the SEC in assists 2 years in a row. And they basically said, you know what? We're going to knock your minutes down to about 10. We're going to play Cason Wallace, our stud freshman, at the point. And it's made a difference for them. So we'll see if it makes a difference tomorrow. I'm going to be pulling for Kentucky in this one. I don't do that very often, but I need to knock A&M down a peg. So let's go Cats. Big Blue Nation, 1 o'clock tip. A&M and Kentucky, big one for both teams as Kentucky tries to move its way up the ladder in the SEC and kind of prove that its talent level is for real. And A&M tries to keep ripping off wins. A&M's 5-0, and if you look at their schedule coming up, this week is brutal for them. They've got Kentucky on the road, and then they're at Auburn. So we'll know a lot more in 4 days about A&M than we do right now. Auburn is headed to South Carolina. Gamecocks just put their head above water for a brief 2 hours in Lexington and got a win. The rest of the time, they've been absolutely whitewashed in Southeastern Conference play. This is a team that lost to Vandy in the opener, lost by 37 points to Tennessee, lost to Texas A&M by 41, and then lost to Ole Miss by 12. Whatever happened in Rupp, out-of-body experience, whatever you want to call it, South Carolina did it. I don't expect it to happen again anytime soon, so I expect Auburn to go to Columbia and get a win there. Bruce Pearl's team, 5-1 in the league. They moved to 6-1. That's a heck of a spot to be in. If you're looking for spots to trip up Alabama, who looks head and shoulders above everybody right now in the league, if you're looking for a spot to knock down Nate Oates and his crew a peg, which I'm always looking to do, maybe this one. I think to beat Alabama, you're going to have to run with them. I don't know if you're going to slow them down. UConn beat them. They scored 82. Gonzaga beat them. They scored 100. Those are the only 2 games they've lost. Well, if you're looking for a team that wants to get up and go, Missouri's your ticket. Missouri's just fine playing a 91-88 game. That's right in their wheelhouse, and it's in Columbia. So I'm curious to see when the number comes out tomorrow on FanDuel. I'll check it out. I would think this line would be fairly close. Alabama's 13, 14-point favorite in a lot of SEC games. I don't see that at Missouri. Missouri is starving for a basketball winner. They fancy themselves a basketball school. They haven't been any good at basketball in a while, but they think of themselves as a really big basketball school. Well, now they like the style of play that they're using. They're winning some games. They're 3-3 in the league. They're 14-4 overall. They feel like a potential tournament team. Got number 4 in the country coming in. I think that'll be a madhouse up in Columbia. And we'll see if Missouri can run with Alabama. That's going to be their task. We'll see if they're up to it. Then the nightcap, 7:30 tip between Florida and Mississippi State at the Hump. Got a couple of first-year head coaches, Todd Golden and his crew, Chris Jans and his. I'm struggling to trust Mississippi State right now. They do have an identity, which is a start. That's one of the things that irritates me with LSU is like, what's our anchor? Like, what are we good at here? And I don't see it all the time with LSU. State says we're going to be really good on defense and we're going to slow the game down to a crawl. Hadn't resulted in wins. They're 1-5 in league play, but at least they know what they're trying to do when they get out there. Florida's kind of caught in the middle. If they didn't have Castleton, they'd be in big trouble. Kind of like LSU, if they didn't have KJ Williams, it'd be even worse. Something tells me Mississippi State can slow Florida down, force some bad shots, and beat them. I don't know that I would put a ton of money on it, but it is in Starkville. Florida, their offense is awful in College Station. I mentioned 2 field goals made in the first half, but then they scored 40 in the second half. So there's a little Jekyll and Hyde action there. It's kind of the same thing we saw against the Tigers. LSU went into the half up 7 in that game, and Florida just blew them out in the second half and ended up winning the game by 9 points. So I'd take Mississippi State in that one in Starkville. Wouldn't feel great about it. Just kind of a hunch on that one. So full day of SEC basketball starting at 11 a.m. The big one, Texas A&M and Kentucky, 1 o'clock at Rupp on ESPN. LSU, of course, will tip off with Tennessee at 3 o'clock. That's also on ESPN. Getting the 4-letter for LSU. I don't know if they've quite earned that just yet, but you get a top 10 team in, you put some cool uniforms on. I guess they'll put you on the big one. So we previewed that one at the top of this hour, and then I did at the bottom of hour number 1. If you want to go back and catch those on demand, you certainly can do that. Take a time out. We'll come back with some more. We're 30 minutes to quitting time here. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets. Go to onebathandclosets.com. David Duvall and his team been helping you with your bathrooms and your closets for 30 years. And they're licensed contractors. So if you need a full-scale bathroom remodel, you need to come in there, get the floors ripped up, change some walls, install a shower, all that jazz. One Bath and Closets can help you with that. One company, one contractor, One Bath and Closets. David Vaughn and his team will do it all. But maybe you don't have to do an entire full-scale renovation. Maybe you just want to do a tub-to-shower conversion. You've got the tub right there. You don't necessarily take a bath all that often. You don't have a 1-year-old like me that you got to throw in the tub every night. You want a gorgeous glass shower. They can take your tub out. They can install that walk-in shower, totally change the way your bathroom looks. And look, a lot of us have closets who are in total disarray, myself very much included. I got to dig for shoes all the time. There's suitcases in there. Let David Duvall and his team come in and help you with your closet space. They'll start you with the questionnaire. What do you have? What do you want? And they'll put you in a custom closet designed to your every need, your cubbies, your shelves, your racks, your mirrors, all that. One Bath and Closets. And if you tell them that the Hunt Palmer Show sent you there for your closet needs, say, all right, well, I'm not going to charge you to rip out this current closet you've got. I'm not going to charge you for the installation time on this one. You're just going to pay for the unit. That's the way David Duvall and his team do business, and we appreciate them partnering here with us on the Hunt Palmer Show. One Bath and Closets. Find them at onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infinity QX80.
Experience the Infinity QX80 at your local Infinity retailer.
The divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Tune in Saturday when the Chiefs host the Jaguars at 3:30 p.m., followed by the Eagles and the Giants at 7:15. Then on Sunday, the Bills host the Bengals at 2 p.m. and the 49ers host the Cowboys at 5:30, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Nothing beats a little January trip to Florida, huh? Beating the weather. That's what the Pellies are going to do this weekend. Got Orlando tonight, then they'll head down to Miami for a Sunday tilt. So a little Florida two-step for the Pels. Pels a 1-point favorite against Orlando tonight. If you're trying to find a little bit of a silver lining here to the agony that is playing continued games without B.I. and Zion, it's that Najee Marshall has established himself as a legit wing in the NBA. In his last 8, he's got 17.8 points per game, so 18 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists. So while I continue to maintain that the Pels are going to be cooked come crunch time if B.I. and Zion aren't out there, maybe this time where you're taking on a little bit of water, you're losing games away from home. They got blown out by Miami on their home floor this week. That sucks, but guys that wouldn't be getting as many minutes as they are playing to this point. We know CJ's got to go out there and go nuts for them to beat good teams right now. We know that Jonas has been clutch and in his normal self. But what else is happening is that some of the guys that you're going to count on as bench guys they're getting big time minutes and they're playing pretty well. Right now, the Pels are the third most affected team in the NBA by injuries. And I get this sense, and I'm not going to pretend to be like plugged into the Pels, and we don't even talk Pels every day on this show. We do it a couple times a week. But it feels like BI's rope is thinning a little bit. This is not anywhere near like the Michael Thomas level of angst that was going on in New Orleans. But it's just like, man, you got hurt. And we were told it was like day-to-day, toe injury, we'll see. And now we're a month down the road, and we still don't know when you're coming back. Like, that's frustrating. I get it. And I firmly plant myself in the cautious camp here previously. The first 3-4 weeks, okay, there's no sense in coming back and pushing it and re-injuring. Like, that's counterproductive. We don't need BI coming out there to try to tough it out and get us a tough win on the road in early January. No need to do that. But when you start to hear things come out, they say, well, he's been cleared to play. Just doesn't feel right. You're like, huh? What? And I'm never going to sit here and pretend to know, quote unquote, how hurt someone is or how someone feels. I rejected that notion on Stingley when he was fighting things. But there comes a certain point where it's like, what's the deal here? And it feels like you're getting closer to that. You want him 100%. That's for sure. It's still January. I'll donate a game or two here or there if I have to get him back to full strength. But it's getting there. So you got the Magic tonight. Pels are a 1-point favorite. Paolo Banchero is kind of leading the way for Orlando. They're not good. Pels really would do themselves some good to win tonight because Sunday might not be fun. The Heat blasted you by 26 points on your home floor this week, and you got to go to South Beach coming up. Arena's in an awesome spot in South Beach in Miami, by the way. I went down there for my honeymoon, saw the arena right there on the water. Very nice. Not that you can see the water from inside of the basketball game, but cool spot down there in Miami. But I don't think the Pels care about that. They need to step it up a little bit when they play the Heat on Sunday. But the reality is, when they came in this week, you had Bam Adebayo go for 26 points. Butler chipped in 18. And it was just a bludgeoning, really, from start to finish. It was not a pleasant box score from the Pels. They shot 61% from the line. Turned the ball over 18 times. Valanciunas had 4 turnovers. Dyson Daniels turned it over 5 times. I mean, it was a beatdown start to finish. Miami came out and scored 36 points in the first quarter. They were up 13, and then they outscored you in the second quarter. And they were up 19 points at the half in the blender. So it's going to be tough on Sunday to get anything done for the Pels. Be real nice if you could beat a bad Magic team tonight. Would soften the blow of going to Miami. But really, the story is not for this Pelicans team going game by game here. It's, okay, what is the deal with these two guys? And Zion, it was said very well by one of my friends in our group text when Zion went out. It was about time. He had played enough games in a row where you knew something was going to happen. And I think Zion's going to do everything he can to get back. And I don't question whether or not B.I. is going to come back and is clearly not feeling well. But, again, that rope's got to be a little bit thin. I'm sure Matt will talk a little bit more about that coming up on his show. So look at the Pellies this weekend. Maybe talk with David Grubb a little bit later next week, kind of see where things are. But as you continue to listen, it just doesn't sound awesome on those two guys. All right, we got one segment left to go. We will come back. We will play some Take It or Leave It, and then it'll be the weekend time. It's Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
NFL playoffs are heating up, and with FanDuel, every play is a rush. New customers join today so you can bet the divisional round $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with the promo code 1045ESPN. You can bet on the Bengals, bet against the Cowboys, do whatever you want, but you get it. America's #1 sportsbook has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, with FanDuel, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. It's all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet and get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with the promo code 1045ESPN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online remote wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues, non-withdrawable free bet that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms of sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're someone who has a gaming problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Sky, I've got that sunshine.
Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years.
It's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Riot Radio Hours return, and we'll preview the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Join us Friday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Getting fired up for a fun weekend. A little dinner and a show for me and the wife tomorrow night. I'm going to see the PMAC tomorrow as well. It's going to be a fun weekend. Hope your work week is pretty much in the rearview mirror. I hope none of y'all are just grinding away at 3 o'clock on a Friday. If you are, appreciate you, but about time to turn it into weekend vibes. That's what we're looking at over here. But we can't get to the weekend without take it or leave it.
Let's finish up with a little take it or leave it. You mentioned the NOLA No Call anniversary.
I did.
Another great one today. The Tuck rule turns 21 years old today. That was a fumble, take it or leave it.
The Tuck rule can drink? This is disturbing.
That was Tom Brady's 10th NFL season.
Yeah. That's startling. Yes, that was a fumble. I mean, of course that was a fumble. I'll take that all day. I mean, it's still funny to sit back and look at. And, I mean, it's in the snow and the Raiders and Patriots 21 years ago, the Tuck rule. That seems like a lot. I mean, I guess I could go back and that just seems like a lot. That almost blows my mind. That was 21 years ago. But, yeah, that was certainly a fumble.
Cormani McClain, the nation's #1 cornerback in this recruiting cycle, flipped his commitment from Miami to Colorado. NIL deal must have fallen through. Dion is going to own the cornerback market. Take it or leave it.
I will leave it, but I don't feel great about saying that. I mean, you got Travis Hunter to go to Jackson State last year, and he was a potential corner. He's an athlete. He could play wide receiver, he could play corner. And then Cormani McClain is ready to go to Miami. And Dion, I'm sure he didn't take any pleasure in digging at Miami there, Florida State Seminole that he is. But that's a pretty powerful pitch. I don't know if this Dion thing's going to work or not. I really don't. But I do know that he's getting guys to Colorado that would not have been there. Kavasier Smoke's a good SEC running back. He's headed there. Cormani McClain's the #1 corner in the country. He didn't just get Travis Hunter to Jackson State. He got a couple other 4-stars as well. His message hits to some people, and if you're going to be a corner and you want to learn the position, he's probably a pretty good one to learn it from. Now, some guys are so good, they can't teach what they did. They just do it. That's why a lot of legendary players aren't great coaches. But I'm not suggesting he's going to get everybody to go there, but corners, he's going to have a pretty good shot, and he's going to get in the door to every corner he wants. I mean, that's just a fact. Like, if Dion, if you're a corner, 4-star, 5-star, whatever, and the phone rings and it's Dion, says, I need you to get out to Boulder for a visit, I just don't think anybody's going to say no. A corner going to see Dion, he hadn't played in a long time, but his star still shines very, very bright. And it's going to be a fascinating case study if this thing works. And works is relative. I don't think he's going to win a national championship at Colorado. But if you can take them from the worst team in the P5 to a consistent 8-9 win team, 10-win team, that would be considered working to me. And you got to get players to do that. Cormani McClain, certainly a player. So, look, we're DBU down here. We want the #1 corners. Can't have him heading off to Boulder. Not that LSU was in on Cormani McClain, but that's pretty impressive.
Angel Reese blocked a shot last night while wearing only one shoe. This is the greatest shoeless moment in LSU history. Take it or leave it.
I saw the block. It was really cool. I'm going to leave that. There are a couple of moments that come to mind, shoeless moments in LSU history, as it were. Certainly, Cole Taylor, the Florida game, it was his shoe was off. It got thrown. That's a 15-yard penalty. That's a famous play in LSU history these days. And for those who are a little bit older, Cecil Collins went 65 yards for a touchdown against Mississippi State with one shoe on. So there have been some great shoeless moments in LSU sports history. Last night, LSU women's basketball was really on the ropes for the first time all year. They were in a really tight game. They've been dusting everybody literally all year. And Arkansas played them really tight last night, and LSU found a way to make plays at the end to win it. And one of the plays to win it was Angel Reese literally holding her shoe in her left hand. Didn't even toss it away like most people do. They kind of get rid of it. Literally holding her shoe, blocking a shot. She's as tough an enforcer as there is in women's college basketball right now. Another double-double for her, and the Tigers remain undefeated. So I don't think it's the best shoeless moment in LSU history, but it was a good one.
The first pitch banquet. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it. I'm excited. First time I've ever been. LSU baseball's first pitch banquet is coming up on Sunday night. I'm going to be there just kind of chatting with some people. I've kind of started my reconnaissance missions on LSU baseball. I know that there are now, like a lot of times during football season, I have to kind of fight to get a baseball thought here or there. It's Florida week. Why are we talking about fall baseball? I don't care about this bullpen guy because we got to deal with Auburn this week on the football field. We're going to Jordan-Hare. At this point, when the basketball team's struggling to crack 50 and baseball's ranked #1 by everyone in the country, it seems like a little bit more palatable to get it in there. But the other side of that coin is I can't start breaking down baseball on January the 20th. If you do that, By the time we get to February 10th and we're a week out, we've already gone through all the content. So I have started a little bit of a recon mission, chatting with some people about where things were standing after the fall, where they stand moving forward into the spring. And we'll start to talk about that a little bit more. But I'm excited to go on Sunday to the first pitch banquet. We'll hear Jay Johnson talk. We'll hear some of the players speak. Usually they have representatives from each class that give a chat. And I'll give some thoughts about that on Monday. And then next week, they've already started practice, by the way. They started some light stuff over the weekend, and they'll start in earnest coming up this coming weekend. And they'll start scrimmaging later next week. I got asked actually earlier this week by somebody, hey, when does the baseball team start having open scrimmages? I want to go check it out. So I checked on it. They will announce it middle of next week. They're not going to start scrimmaging until middle of next week, and that's when practice opens up. So we're still not quite there yet. But I will tell you this, LSU Media Day for baseball is a week from today. It is next Friday, and we're going to carry all of Jay Johnson's opening monologue on the show here. Charlie's going to be out next Friday. I'll be sitting in for him. So we expect that to go 30, 40 minutes starting at straight up noon. Yeah, noon. And then I'll take over from there, and then we'll do our 2-hour show after it. But excited to hear what Jay Johnson has to do. I can't remember last year was his first media day. I'm certain it wasn't just like Paul Maneri's, because Paul Maneri would, and I loved it, but it's tough for the sports writers and certainly the people that transcribe it. For his media day press conference, he would literally go through the entire roster and tell you where they were from and what they do and what they did last year and what he's expecting this year. I loved it. I ate it up with a spoon, but it was a lot. I mean, his opening monologue would be 37 minutes. I don't believe that Jay will give you quite that, but I think he'll kind of lay out what they think about this team. Then he'll take some questions and we'll kind of dive in. But it goes without saying that this town is as excited for a baseball season since maybe. So certainly everybody was really geeked up for 2009 because they had just gone on that crazy win streak in 2008 and they were opening the new box. So that was massive for that team. I guess coming back in 2010, Renato's back as defending national champions. I'm sure you're pretty keyed up for that as well. Then things kind of dipped for a little bit. 13 team was incredible, but you lost most of it coming back in 14 outside of Nola, who was back. So I guess when you had Nola and Bregman, you had to think you were going to be pretty good. So that was probably pretty good buzz there. And then the 17 team, you were coming off 16, the Rally Possum team. But I can't quite recall a year that was this geeked up for baseball. So we'll start to slide a little bit of that into the conversation. We are still going to continue to talk about basketball. I do recall an LSU's awful 2-6 16 season a couple years ago. Charlie and Jimmy in the middays really stopped talking about the basketball team. I'm not going to do that. There's not enough meaty content. I mean, I start talking golf if y'all want. We can talk Aussie Open, but we're going to talk about the basketball team continuing moving forward. But we're going to start weaving some baseball in, and it'll start with the first pitch banquet coming up on Sunday, and certainly Media Day. We'll carry the entire thing coming up a week from today on Friday as they crank it up. And we're inside a month now. February 17th is first pitch, so very, very excited about all that, and we'll continue to talk about it. That'll just about do it, I guess. Certainly do it for Take It or Leave It. It'll just about do it for our show. If you missed any of the show, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com. Click the On Demand tab right there. All the shows listed. Click any that you like. We'd appreciate it if you give ours a listen. All the content's there every single day. It's also on Apple Podcast or Spotify if those are your more preferable listening options. We'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, rate, and review. We always appreciate you doing that. It gets it in front of more eyeballs and earlobes, which is the goal around here, to get our content to as many people as we can. The YouTube crowd, appreciate y'all hanging out in the Bayou Ford chat all day. Throw us a like on your way out if you would, and appreciate it if you'd subscribe right there below the video feed. Just hit that subscribe button. You'll get our content. Every single show is uploaded every day on YouTube, and Taylor does an awesome job of cutting up some 10-minute clips and throwing them up on the internet so you can get some abbreviated stuff of some of the more polarizing topics of the day, as it were. So appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Kind of a lineup of how the show went today. We opened talking about the NFL weekend. It's going to be awesome. I gave you some gambling picks. I think it's going to be fantastic. Cranking up tomorrow. Got a scouting report from me on the Tennessee Vols and what LSU's up against tomorrow at 1:15. It's going to be a tough one for LSU against a really good defensive team in Tennessee, but the throwback uniforms are going to be sweet. I'm the guy who always bashes uniforms. You know me. Football, when they come out and they're wearing anything but the traditional uniforms, I blow a gasket. I love these. The throwbacks for basketball are fantastic. Probably because I don't love some of the basketball uniforms. I like the home ones, but the road ones need some white trim. But that's a story for another day. I gave you a scouting report on the Vols at 1:15. We talked about Ja'Kai Clark, potential transfer for LSU football at center position from Miami, as well as a mock draft from Daniel Jeremiah. Where does B.J. Ojulari come in? In the first round. Talked about that, and then gave an unfortunate anniversary, the Nolan no call. At the end of hour number 1. Grant Ramey from Volcrest today breaking down the Tennessee Vols basketball team. I got you ready for the entire Saturday in SEC basketball at 2:15. And a little Pels talk to round out the week at 2:30 before Take It or Leave It. That's going to do it for us here on a Friday. Hope you've had a great week. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home on After Further Review. He'll be with you from 3 to 6 this evening. We'll be back on Monday. Same time, same place. It's the Hunt Palmer Show. 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.